America, land of the free, home of the brave, and global peacekeeper, or is it global police officer? The lines often blur. Look, let's be honest, the US has a complicated relationship with war. From the Revolutionary War to the conflicts in the Middle East, America's military history is extensive and complex. Sometimes we're all about that peace through strength thing. The idea that a strong military presence can deter conflict and maintain global stability. Other times, it feels like we're handing out military interventions like they're party favors. From Korea to Vietnam, Iraq to Afghanistan, the US has often taken a proactive, sometimes aggressive stance. And who's calling the shots when those decisions are made? The president, obviously. But it's not just one person. It's a whole administration, advisors, and sometimes the influence of public opinion. But does their political party really matter? Do the ideologies of the Democrats and Republicans significantly influence their approach to military action? Do donkey presidents prefer diplomacy, while elephant presidents reach for the big red nuke button? Or is it more nuanced than that? Let's unpack this, shall we? The reality is, both parties have had their doves and warhawks. Democratic President Woodrow Wilson led the US into World War I, while Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower warned against the military-industrial complex. It's not always clear-cut. Congress also plays a crucial role. They authorize military action, control the budget, and can influence the president's decisions. Bipartisanship, or the lack thereof, can significantly impact military policy. And let's not forget the American people. Public opinion can sway decisions, as seen during the Vietnam War and more recently, in the debates over interventions in the Middle East. The cost of war is immense, not just in terms of money, but in human lives and societal impact. It's a heavy burden that weighs on the nation. So dove or warhawk? The answer isn't simple. It's a balance of power, diplomacy, and sometimes unavoidable conflict. The US continues to navigate this complex role on the global stage. As we move forward, the hope is for a future where peace and strength coexist, where the US can be a beacon of hope and stability in an ever-changing world. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, pun intended. Republicans have a reputation. They're often seen as the more hawkish party, the ones quicker to deploy troops and flex America's military muscle. Think peace through strength, Reagan and the evil empire, that kind of vibe. Is this reputation deserved? Well, like a drunken tweet at 3 a.m., it's complicated. Let's rewind the tape and take a closer look at some pivotal moments in American history. Richard Nixon, a Republican, escalated the Vietnam War, a conflict that deeply divided the nation and left lasting scars. Yet, in a surprising twist, he also opened relations with China, a move that reshaped global diplomacy and altered the course of the Cold War. George H.W. Bush, another Republican, faced a different kind of challenge. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, Bush assembled a broad international coalition to push Iraqi forces out. Operation Desert Storm was a swift and decisive military campaign that showcased America's military prowess and its ability to lead on the world stage. Then there's George W. Bush, who faced the unprecedented attacks of September 11, 2001. In response, he launched the War on Terror, targeting terrorist networks and regimes that harbored them. This led to prolonged conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, shaping US foreign policy for decades and sparking intense debate over its effectiveness and consequences. See, it's not as simple as Republicans equal war. There are nuances, people. Each administration faced unique challenges and made decisions based on the context of their times. Political strategies and ideologies evolve, and so do the circumstances that drive them. But it's true, the GOP has historically been more comfortable with military intervention. This tendency reflects a broader philosophy of maintaining strong national defense and projecting power to protect American interests and promote global stability. Understanding these historical contexts helps us appreciate the complexities of political decision-making and the lasting impact of these pivotal moments. Now, onto the Democrats. They're generally seen as the more dovish party, the ones who prefer diplomacy and international cooperation. Think Jimmy Carter and the Camp David Accords, or Barack Obama and the Iran nuclear deal. But hold your horses, peace-loving pals. Even Democrats have their moments. Remember Harry Truman, Democrat. He was the 33rd President of the United States. taking office after the sudden death of Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1945. Truman faced some of the most challenging decisions in American history. He made the controversial decision to drop atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, effectively ending World War II. This action not only brought a swift conclusion to the war, but also ushered in the nuclear age, a period marked by the threat of nuclear warfare and the beginning of the Cold War. John F. Kennedy, another Democrat, faced his own nuclear crisis during his presidency. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Kennedy's firm stance and diplomatic negotiations with the Soviet Union averted disaster, but it was a tense moment that highlighted the ever-present threat of nuclear conflict. Fast forward to the 1990s, and we have Bill Clinton, yet another Democrat, who found himself involved in international conflict. During his presidency, the United States played a significant role in the Kosovo War, a conflict that saw NATO forces intervening to stop human rights abuses and ethnic cleansing in the Balkans. So yeah, Democrats aren't afraid to throw a punch when they feel it's necessary. From Truman's decisive actions in World War II to Kennedy's handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis and Clinton's intervention in Kosovo, Democratic leaders have shown a willingness to engage in military action when they believe it's in the best interest of the nation and the world. Their decisions have shaped the course of history and continue to influence global politics today. Section 6, Red versus Blue, a tale of two foreign policies. It's tempting to draw a line in the sand, or should we say the political landscape, and say Republicans equal war, Democrats equal peace. But it's just not that simple. Both parties have a history of military intervention and diplomatic efforts. The truth is, foreign policy is complex. It's shaped by factors like global events, economic interests, and domestic politics, not just the president's party affiliation. Section 7. Beyond the partisan punch bowl, a more nuanced look. Let's be honest, reducing complex issues like war and peace to partisan soundbites is about as helpful as a screen door on a submarine. It's just not that simple. Both parties have hawks and doves. Both parties have made decisions that have led to both peace and conflict. To truly understand a president's foreign policy, you have to look beyond their party label. Section 8. So, who's got the peace prize? It's tempting to play the who's more peaceful game, but it's a fool's errand. Every president faces different challenges and makes decisions based on the information they have at the time. Judging their legacy on a simple war versus peace binary is like trying to understand the entire plot of Game of Thrones from a single episode. It's just not enough information. Section 9. The verdict. It's complicated and always will be. So, what's the answer? Does the president's party really matter when it comes to war and peace? The answer, my friends, is a resounding, it's complicated. Both Republicans and Democrats have a history of military intervention and diplomatic efforts. The president's party is just one piece of the puzzle. To truly understand their foreign policy, we need to look at the bigger picture.